All right, welcome back. COVID-19 is responsible for unusually low attendance at schools all around the nation. Positive test results and quarantine rules are keeping students and staff out of classrooms and disrupting efforts to keep schools open. As your family navigates this complicated time, we want to make sure you're up to date with the latest safety guidelines in place at our K-12 schools. Now, if your child has been vaccinated but still tests positive for COVID and has symptoms, they should isolate for 5 days from the onset of those symptoms. They can return to school on day 6 if they've been without a fever for 24 hours and other symptoms have improved. If your student is positive for COVID but does not have symptoms, they can end their isolation after at least 5 days. But if they develop symptoms during those 5 days, well, that isolation period starts over. Now, here's where the test to stay protocol that's used in many school districts comes into play. If your vaccinated student was exposed to someone with COVID, but they aren't experiencing any symptoms, they do not have to quarantine. However, they will need to take a test 5 days from exposure and mask up for 10 days. If any symptoms develop in those 10 days, they will need to stay home. Your student also doesn't need to quarantine if they were exposed to someone they live with. They can still go to class, but will need to test on day 5 and day 10, and then repeat that for every new positive test in their household. Now, these guidelines are changing as the science evolves, and we want to make sure your family stays informed. If you need clarity about school safety guidelines, Omicron, or anything else, just head to KXY.com and submit your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll go to the experts to get your answers.